So it just happens to be the worst possible time the Terran could be doing a push for him.
I mean, the issue he runs into here...
Because he has the weakest possible army, he's probably going to have the whole game right here.
Well, right.
Comparative to the Terran.
Right, and the issue he has here is that the Dark Templar were supposed to establish map control,
and they didn't.
And when they don't, now that third's exposed. And that's why you see him push out into a bad strategic area. I mean, really, I think what he was trying to do, if you go kind of by the Protoss army here.
Let me get the Iran cam back up.
Yeah. I mean, when he pushes out here, kind of scroll out to where that battle ends up happening.
Right here.
Yeah, I think his intention might have been to try and get it closer to that kind of choke by the rocks there, to give himself a little bit more of an arc than he would have had otherwise. But the engagement doesn't really happen perfectly in the choke. He really doesn't have enough units to create a big arc. So, in the end, it really doesn't pay off that much for him. I mean, he doesn't have the ability, look at his money, he doesn't have the ability to produce as well as he needs to be right now. He was going to rely on the Dark Templars and that, whatever they're called now. They're not called shuttles. What's it called?
Warp Prism.
Warp Prism. And Warp Prism and DT harass in order to do damage.
Yeah, I think we can definitely agree that if he can hold this push somehow, he's in a position where he's definitely going to be ahead. If he holds this push, even if he somewhat even trades up, well, he doesn't want to really even trade up. If he can get his Colossus to survive through this battle and kill a good majority of the Terran army, he's definitely going to be in a great position because he'll still have more Colossus, so he could just go 2 more gateways. Doesn't necessarily have to go 2 robos. So he could keep going 1 robo and slowly building up his Colossus numbers for the 200 army even larger. And he'd be in really good position because he's got 3 bases. Mouz has nearly mined out his main. Has his second, but really doesn't look like a third looks like an afterthought to him. Like, this push looks like it's designed that he hopes this push ends the game.
Yeah, it's not really an all-in.
It's a planned, strong 2-base push, I would say.
He's looking to end the game.
With the potential option to do like an emergency third expansion if it doesn't pan out.
If he doesn't
to try and get back into the game.
He could,
but it goes out without a doubt that if this battle goes well for Duckload, he's going to be way ahead because he's already got a third up. He's already starting to mine from it, even though these SCVs not SCVs, probes, ended up long distance mining because they got to the minerals like just before it finished, and he was busy worrying about his army, so he didn't really just make him go right back here. Yeah. But the other thing we talked about that we kind of agreed on is right before this battle, he warps in 5 zealots. We kind of agreed it might have helped him to have gotten some sentries up. I mean, most Protoss play 4, 6, even 8 sentries like all game because force field's really friggin' good.
Yeah, and he lost sentries in earlier battles and he never really replaced them. So I mean, really, he just kind of
definitely has the gas for it.
Yeah, he never really kept that. I think in seeing that he wanted to go DTs was part of it, sure, but I mean, really, he needs to have the 4 sentry mark. It just helps your army to be able to force field effectively.
Yeah,
so
I think
it would have helped them a lot.
Yeah. I think at this point in the metagame, having a plan to use DTs as your crutch to keep map control, a cutesy unit like that, at this point in the metagame, where Terran has gotten pretty wise
against good players in
DTs, that maybe he might want to consider doing something other than DTs when he goes to take his third.
I mean, he could have done anything.
He could have done a lot of stuff.
Yeah, I mean, there's a million things.
Could have gone 2 robos so he had more classes, which I don't prefer because I think you get too weak of a gateway army.
But like we talked about before,
but definitely could have built
into this analysis. There's a million different things he could have done differently.
Yes.
But when we're talking about just what's going on right here, really...
Yes, he chooses to go Dark Templar and it doesn't pan out.
Right. I mean, and
he's going to lose as a result of it, basically.
And if he wanted to make it more safe, he could have had a couple extra gates, and it would have helped him. Having
definitely
the sentries there would have helped
because the Dark Templar don't pan out. I think we can put our foot down and say he loses the game because he goes DTs to protect his third,
right
as the Terran's getting ready to gear up for a strong 2-base push, and the Terran's ready for something like that to happen.
Right. I mean, I think the third timing's good. I don't think it was a mistake. I do think it's,
It's a good timing.
It's bad for him, sure, that...
Against a stronger opponent, he just needs a better way to hold it.
Well, right. It's bad for him, sure, that, Terran decided to push as he was making it, sure. But at the same time, I really think it was well done and well planned. Just, it so happened that the Terran player knew what to do in that situation, and it completely backfired on him. And if he would have done, more gates, an extra robo, something a little bit more straightforward and strong, not cute, it would have paid off a lot better.
I think it definitely is a good point to say that anything we're pointing about, like, in the future, that's just us analyzing things he could maybe do where this build's pretty good, but if he tweaks this or that, he could still use this build in the future, just maybe you get rid of...
It would be safer.
Right. You get rid of maybe the Dark Shrine, and you put up maybe 2 gateways instead, or maybe you go double...
Well, or like we said, if he wanted to do...
tech upgrade so your army's stronger.
Right, but like if he wanted to do the Dark Shrine still, maybe instead of only having one robo, put up a second robo so you can get that War Prism out and still keep Colossus' building, or
put up
build more gateways
sooner.
Have a couple extra gateways, even if you can't instantly produce out of them, in case Terran's going to do this really strong 2-base all-in, and you can't be spending all your money on DTs because they're not effective right now, and then you can fall back on them later. It
definitely sucks to build stuff just in case something's going to happen, but if he's really hell-bent on going DTs, he definitely needs to consider it, I would say, because if the DTs fail, I mean, based on what we see happen here... Unless there's another army composition he can use to make this work. Like if maybe adding more sentries makes this army effective. Then maybe he can still go DTs and do what he wants to do. And just in the future to go, oh, well, if I add 5 sentries instead of a couple of the zealots I built, I hold this push and then I'm awesome. Because then I have DTs, I have Colossus, I have charge lots, I have stalkers, and... he's going to have a hard time continually scanning, because he will run out of scans. I mean, even during this battle, he has about 2 scans there, not even half a scan there. He ends up using 1 pretty quick here, so he's down to 1 scan at that point. He ends up using, pretty much, I think he scans himself out up here.
Yeah.
But Duckload at that point just ran out of units, so it didn't matter.
I mean... And, you can make the arguments that, in a high level of play, everything, has to be perfect. You can't do this, whatever, safe, whatever, blah, blah, blah. But, I mean, the honest truth is, to an extent, sure. Say what you want about...
That's where force fields would play huge.
Say what you want about, the pro-level gaming, everything has... You can't spend the extra money on that gateway if it's not producing units. But at the same time, a good build... Not only, yes, are you using everything that, you're building and everything else, but at the same time, a good build doesn't fall to a 2-base push like this. He doesn't lose here. His macro doesn't slip that far on a good build. I mean, relying on something that's cute as opposed to just really solid, stuff like this can happen.
Yeah. I mean, he definitely went for a Q2 unit move, and it backfired, because that's typically what happens with Q2 unit moves. You go for a Q2 unit move, if they're ready for it, you die.
Right. Basically, it was go big or go home in this case. And unfortunately...
It was go home for White Raw in this game.
Yep.
But like we said, there might be some things he could do in the future to make this build better, whether it's adding sentries to that mix, and maybe it makes a difference in that battle if he's got 6 or 8 sentries sitting around building energy the whole game.
Yeah, sure.
I mean, we've seen in GSL, OGSMC, with small armies do ridiculous stuff, which is bazillions of force fields out of sentries. So, I mean, potentially that could have helped. Or if he tries stuff like that and it still doesn't work, then maybe he needs to abandon Dark Shrine in favor of something else.
Yep.
So that's basically our analysis. We're going to get the hell out of here now. We got better things to do than analyze this game to death all night. So this will be Nursky and Mass Media saying peace out until later.